Thank you for inviting us. Our topic is quite broad. Agriculture has a wide variety of commodities and individual operations. So we're approaching it from our work with the counties, and then we'll highlight some BMPs as well. So I've heard it said more than once that farmers were some of the first environmentalists, and that's intuitive, as it's important that farmers look after their land and their resources in order to be able to continue farming. And the picture up there of two little girls in the canola swaths, those are little girls from the County of Wetaskiwin, and it highlights that farming, although people still do get larger and incorporate, there's still primarily families involved. But in saying that, agriculture, like all human activities, has an impact on the environment, and then that leads to my job. The Sustainable Agriculture Program is a partnership between the County of Wetaskiwin, Leduc County, and Alberta Agriculture. And the goals of our program are to promote awareness and adoption of agricultural BMPs, particularly as they relate to water quality, and in doing so serve and support our local resident farmers. Some of the activities that I do as a Sustainable Ag Program Manager, we have a partnership doing water quality monitoring on some of the creeks in County of Wetaskiwin with Alberta Environment and now AMERA. Those creeks are primarily agricultural watersheds. Something I'm going to talk quite a bit more about is that I am the area technician for Alberta's Environmental Farm Plan, and the farm plan is a province-wide program. Something which also ties into that is Growing Forward 2. That is a federal, provincial, territorial partnership that provides grants to not only producers but ag industry. And I help our local producers access those grants and keep on top of what's available. We put on a lot of community workshops, like not as big an attendance as this, but that's one way our residents like to learn, is through workshops, that kind of involvement. And newsletters and brochures. And we do a biannual newsletter, which I have a copy on the back at our table. Alberta's Environmental Farm Plan. Excuse me. What is it? It is a program which raises awareness and provides education regarding on-farm environmental stewardship. So that really ties in well with the Sustainable Agriculture Program. It provides a foundation for management practices that, when implemented, will reduce the environmental impacts of agriculture. And it highlights what farmers are doing well, and it helps identify improvement opportunities. A little bit of history about the farm plan. It was launched in 2003. Since that time, there's been over 12,000 participants, which have developed about over 8,000 farm plans. The farmer sets the priorities and timeline in this. The process is free and confidential. It is science-based, technically sound. It reflects current legislation and regulations, and there's continuous improvement through industry directives. It's supported by Alberta Agriculture, and currently ERICA, the Agricultural Research and Extension Council of Alberta, is the custodian of the program, so they look after it at a provincial level, and they have some staff which support people like me. What can an environmental farm plan do? Again, focusing on the greater awareness and understanding of the agricultural environmental relationship. It defines both naturally occurring risks and management risks. Opens the door for new solutions, technology, and resources, and demonstrates both not only an individual farmer but the commodity sectors and perhaps the whole industry's commitment to stewardship. It provides accountability and credibility to the industry. And I have this nice little slide here. I think often we hear about sustainability the 3 pillars, or you see the little milk stool picture like this. All pillars, all legs of the stool need to be fairly equal in order not to tip over. The environmental farm plan provides the environmental support leg. There's the provincial Alberta Farm Animal Care Group, which looks after all commodities, livestock commodities, and then food safety. All the commodities also have their own food safety programs. I'm most familiar with Canadian Quality Assurance. That's the Alberta Porks program. You need to be enrolled and validated on that program in order to sell your hogs to a provincial packer, or federal packer, pardon me. So it's just tied into your marketing, Beef's program for food safety is verified beef production, and they are looking. You may have heard about McDonald's initiative for for sustainable beef, and they're looking at using templates part of the EFP to put into the food safety component to help verify the sustainability, what they're looking for in terms of the beef used in that pilot project. EFP services are available across the province through municipal partners like myself. Members of ERICA are also technicians, and there's over 40 of us in the province. We're supported by the EFP program and by Alberta Agriculture. So if we can't answer a question, they can usually help us do so. We have an annual tech training event, which is also very useful, of course, to get people together to can review and go over challenges and successes. Now the process, I have a copy of the workbook on our table. It's the cornerstone of the process. There is, you can do your environmental farm plan online, but still the majority of people are using the workbook, and I'm still finding it better to work with farmers with the workbook because you get together and you can go through it together. It's a little simpler than having the online version. It's a fairly large, can be a daunting looking binder because it's designed to fit all sizes and types of operations in Alberta. So, there's a horticulture chapter, there's a chapter on irrigation, and that doesn't always translate to production in our area, for example. First part of the workbook, you assess natural features of the farm for risks related to soil erosion, groundwater and surface water contamination. And the rest of the workbook, you focus on your yard sites, management practices that you can do to reduce risks there on your yard and also in your fields. Once the farmer's gone through the questions, identified any risks in his plan, it is turned into myself or another technician for review, and we are able to respond usually with an approval letter. The process is intended to be ongoing. It's a living document, and to remain effective, it should be maintained, and they can contact someone like myself and to get support in doing their plan and receive an approval letter that deems the farm plan to be current. So that is can be tied to funding too. This Sean McGrath is the individual in this picture, and he came and talked to us at our tech training as part of a producer panel. He's part of a 5th generation farm out by Vermilion, and actually was the 2014 Environmental Stewardship Award winner from Alberta beef producers. And what stuck out to me both and is shown on the slide is that they go back and they use that as a living document when they rent more land or they want to make a change on the farm. They use their farm plan and their workbook as for a reference. And also I wanted to highlight that these stewardship initiatives can also be tied to the business end. Something that came through in about 2011, 2012 is the potato growers of Alberta needed to go through the farm plan. I believe they tweaked it somewhat to reflect some of the specific issues with their commodity. But in order to maintain their contracts and sell to McCain's, they have to be part of their plan and update it frequently. Another commodity group that's used the environmental farm plan template is the Egg Farmers of Alberta, and they call their program PEEP, very good term, Producer Environmental Egg Program, and it is based on EFP2, and I believe that's been in the pilot stages. So that environmental farm plan is a great tool for me to use with our area farmers. Now to the agriculture BMPs. I guess part of why we're here is there isn't as much agriculture in the green zone, and we're part of this Headwaters initiative. There's a lot more agriculture in the County of Wetaskiwin and Leduc counties. So we wanted to reflect some of the things that are going on with the farmers that we deal with. The main farming operations in our counties are crop production, beef, and dairy. Some BMPs are very technical and use technology. Others are quite simple. Also wanted to highlight a few things. I have a couple copies at the back. In 2014, they did an environmentally sustainable agriculture survey, and some highlights out of that survey was adoption of BMPs tends to be higher on larger operations, which were identified as gross sales of $250,000 or more. And although those larger operations account for only 20% of farms in Alberta, these operations manage the vast majority of livestock and land in the province. So I take that as quite a positive statistic. And in my work, I tend to work more with smaller holdings, and again, I may not have made that super clear, but some of the Growing Forward 2 funding opportunities, not all, are tied to having an environmental farm plan. So if they want to do some stewardship project, they need to have that farm plan first, and that's part helps me in my job working with farmers. Something else, again, a plug for me and Erin, is that in this survey, they also found adoption of BMPs was higher when the producer has accessed one or more ARD programs like Environmental Farm Plan, working well, as well as working with either an ARD or municipal staff. All right, so beef production. And I thought I'd highlight a couple BMPs related to beef production. Grazing management, particularly with a focus on riparian management techniques, and winter feeding. Good grazing management helps to reduce the environmental impact of livestock while maintaining a high level of productivity. And a wintering site, all a wintering site needs is a feeding area, shelter, and a water source. But a challenge with wintering sites, since our winters are so long, is that manure can build up over time. So we want to try and avoid that. And there are management strategies to help reduce those risks. Grazing systems are basically of two types. They're continuous or rotational. The thing is, there are many different adaptations of rotational grazing. So the real advantage of effective grazing management is that it is both profitable and environmentally sound. I wanted to highlight that no grazing system works on, there's no one plan fits all. And also that intensive grazing systems refers to the amount of management required in that system, not the actual grazing pressure. So the more products and the more moves are added, the more complicated the system is. In terms of riparian area grazing, wanted to highlight that exclusion fencing is not the only alternative. Although you may not be able to tell in this picture, that is one of our producers along Muscade Creek. We had a tour there last summer, and that is, he had opted to do riparian area fencing. So the fence is behind the producers that are to your right, and you can see how good the vegetation is in that area. But what other things can we do in terms of riparian area grazing management? It's important to provide an off-site watering system. That you want to keep the animals distributed throughout the pasture and not loafing in the along near your stream or riparian areas. So balance the amount of animals with forage supply, distribute livestock over the pasture evenly. This picture actually shows you cisterns on the top where the farmer has water collected, and he uses topography that's actually high up on the hill, and his pasture water is fed through gravity-fed systems to troughs, like is shown there. If you have water troughs spread out throughout, you need water, right, in each paddock, and that will help you distribute the livestock more evenly. And it's also been shown that whether they have access to a water body or a trough, 80% of the time cattle will choose the trough. 2 more techniques. Don't graze when in vulnerable times. Yeah. Stay out in the spring when things are too wet, and then stay out in the late summer and fall when the shrubs and browse are too tasty. And winter feeding sites, another BMP was showing here, was that if you feed on pasture or cropland, it'll allow you to spread the manure out over a larger area. The cattle are doing it for you. That's one way to reduce manure buildup. These animals are actually eating some corn. You need to provide them with shelter. So if you are out in the field, you can provide some windbreaks that you can move around. And although cattle can use snow, it's not always a reliable resource, especially the way our winter's been now with all the thaw, melt and ice that wouldn't do. So you need to provide some kind of a water source, and the one here is a frost-free nose pump. And something that is mandated under AOPA is that wintering sites must be located at least 30 meters from a common body of water. And I wanted to put in a little plug. I read in a blog last week kind of a different concept. If you a reciprocal of if you ate today, thank a farmer. It was if you farm today, thank a consumer. And I thought that was pretty good. So I wanted to thank all of you that are fond of pork chops and bacon for supporting me and my family over the years. And with that, it's time for Aaron.
Essentially, I just wanted to touch on Leduc County and their ag services. Kim is a unique part of our group because we share her with the County of Wetaskiwin. So she's doing sustainable ag for both Leduc County and County of Wetaskiwin. But for Leduc County Ag Services, we're really there to encourage the production, the profitability, and sustainability of agriculture. We do have some enforcement things that we do with the Weed Control Act, the Agricultural Pest Act, but that's kind of our main impetus when we're there. In terms of environmental sustainability, the environmental farm plan is a big part for a lot of our producers. When it's used correctly, it's an evolving resource. It's a unique opportunity for a producer to look at his operation and say, okay, what am I doing good? What needs to be addressed? And if that's maintained over the years, it's a fantastic way to continue to improve your operation. It can help discover issues and develop unique solutions that maybe you didn't see coming. And it also sets timelines for the implementation of those operations, using the EFP technicians, Growing Forward 2 programs. It's a great way to improve your system. I'm more of on the crop end of things than the livestock end of things, and I just wanted to kind of touch up a couple of things that we see being developed for some of our producers that can help be more environmentally friendly, more environmentally sustainable for ag. Variable rate technology, it's been around for a while, but it's in areas where there's a lot of variability in your soil. we're seeing a lot more uptake of this. It's putting the right amount of fertilizer in the right areas, and using GPS, using UAV drones for aerial photography. There's a lot of opportunity there, and in a similar fashion, green seeker technology. This is applied to sprayers. So when you're spraying, there's this technology allows the sprayer to know where there's green matter that needs to be sprayed and where there isn't. So it'll set the booms to turn on or off depending on what's present on the ground. And then something else that a lot of producers are, especially in our area, is getting agronomic support. Having an agronomist in a Stratus Ag Research survey in 2013, it said 20% of canola producers hired an agronomy consultant. Now that was an independent consultant. If you were to talk to most producers today, I'd say probably high 80s have access to an agronomist of some sort, whether it's through their retailer, through their fertilizer, or through their chemical sales reps. They've got access to some fantastic knowledge that they can apply to their system and improve their system.